Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we got a very special show for you today. The gentleman you see smiling behind me is, of course, Derek Brose of the Conscious Resistance, and he's an old school activist. He's somebody that takes it to the streets, but he's also somebody that has recently taken it to the next level and is actually running for mayor of Houston, Texas, and he needs our support more than ever. So, Derek, why don't you tell us how you got involved in this campaign and how everybody can help you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, brother, for having me on. So I've been campaigning for mayor of Houston since back in the beginning of May, mid-May. Started thinking about the idea probably back in March or so. Originally as a joke, for your audience and those who've gotten to know me over the past few interviews, it's probably clear that I'm not much of a government guy. As far as getting involved and voting and paying attention to that, I try to focus on, like you said, on the ground activism. But I decided this year to do something different after being active for the last decade, doing confrontations, building community gardens, documentary screenings, all the activist stuff, protest rallies, arrests, civil disobedience. I decided, there are so many people who are really miserable here in the city of Houston, who are sick of the current politicians and the current establishment. And there are so many different issues that are being ignored. Houston's the fourth largest city in the country. Just like New York, what happens in Houston does affect other places. But when it comes to local politics, most of the races and most of the campaigns are about, hey, we're going to fix the infrastructure, we're going to fix the potholes, and just this real basic stuff. Not to say that it doesn't have a place or it doesn't matter to certain people, but I feel like there's so many bigger picture topics we could talk about. And so I decided, after consulting with some friends in the independent media and alternative media, and asked, like, hey, will you help me out with this? Can you help me do this effort? And you can kind of see in this poster behind me is like my official campaign poster, and there's 9 main points. We won't get into all that tonight, but I mean, just a kind of a sample of like the things you don't hear about in local politics here, at least here in Houston. We're talking about putting an end to mass incarceration and ending the drug war, specifically by starting with decriminalizing cannabis. We're talking about putting an end to police surveillance, giving the people a say and a voice on 5G, and putting a moratorium on 5G in Houston, because we're one of the first test cities until further actual studies here in the city. We're talking about putting an end to the homeless feeding ordinance here in Houston, which says it's illegal to share food with 5 people at a time. Imagine that. We're also talking about giving the people a voice and standing in defense of health freedom and medical freedom, and basically saying that if I was mayor, I would never support attempts at mandatory vaccinations. We're also talking about, as I said, mass incarceration. I'm sharing my story of going to prison and how I've experienced living in the city of Houston as a felon, and how that limits you in so many different ways. So because of that, because of my campaign for the last 5 months, I mean, for one, I'll say this, man, like, people are responding. Everywhere I go, people are resonating. I've been participating in forums and debates that people can find at derekbros.com and on our videos page. We have a YouTube and a Instagram and a Facebook, all that just for the campaign, for folks who want to follow that. That's separate from the Conscious Resistance. But every time I participate in a forum or a debate and I'm on the stage next to the current mayor and the other candidates, and people hear me talk and speak about these ideas, people want to know more. And this is old, white, black, brown, young, gay, straight, trans. We've been to neighborhood forums, environmental forums, pride forums, just you name it. And really have been, I told myself, like, look, if I'm going to do this, this isn't going to be a joke campaign. I don't necessarily expect to win, but I'm going to do it for real. I'm going to dedicate all my time, my resources, my energy. And we've been hitting the ground just running, man. We've been talking to people from the rich neighborhoods, the poor neighborhoods, as I said, all different backgrounds and races and ethnicities and socioeconomic classes. And not only sharing the ideas that I care about, but genuinely trying to hear, like, what do people care about? And sometimes there are issues that I don't personally think the government should have any role in, but I still listen and I say, hey, well, maybe I can, be an advocate for you. Maybe I can be a voice. And also it helps having the experience as a journalist to be able to say, I can help you with this. Let me show you how to, expose this and give this a wider audience. So I've been learning so much. I've been, connecting with people. And I think that's why we're starting to run into issues. Today the focus, of course, is the fact that I'm dealing with censorship. I have been covered a couple of times on local media. When I first launched, I got covered. We've had 2 other interviews, but for the most part, we're getting a lot of censorship.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I think is great about this is, number one, the mayor of Houston. That's no small mayor. I mean, that would make you like Super Pete Bootlicker. Pete Bootlicker up there, a small town, Indiana mayor or whatever, is nothing compared to what you're trying to do. And number two, you're forcing these establishment politicians not to listen to their constituents or one question, but issue by issue, taking them and saying, no, listen, we need to really talk about this. And you've already noticed that these people are hearing you and trying to alter their campaigns to sound more like you because you're resonating with the people on the ground. But right now, you're kind of at a crossroads where you need to get onto television into this debate so you can have a bigger reach. Because, again, ground is great, but not everybody's coming to a rally. A lot more people are going to be watching television. So why don't you tell us what your strategy is to get into that and how my audience can help you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. We're out there, we're block walking, we're hitting the forums, we're doing all the online groundwork, and that's important. We're also doing social media. I hate it, but we're running social media ads trying to reach people. But even though me and you and our audiences know that TV is, a thing of the past, there still are a large chunk of the people, and especially in Houston when it comes to voting, who pay attention to what's on the TV. And we're actually at a point now where in the last election, 2015, the biggest voting block was 64 and older, and the millennials, let's say 35, 36 and younger, were less than 1%. So a big part of our focus has been doing campus outreach, has been talking with people. I'm 34 myself, so generally I think the people resonate more with me than they do most of these other people. I'm running against two different career politicians and a self-funded millionaire who's raised $750,000 for Donald Trump, as well as donated to Hillary Clinton, as well as donated to all the Democratic judges and all that. He says it's because he's nonpartisan, but I think he just wants to make sure he's got his hands in everybody's pockets or vice versa. So we are at this crucial point. We're 3 weeks away from the election, November 5th. Early voting begins on Monday. As I said, we have had some coverage, but for those who go to my channel, you'll see that I was interviewed by Fox 26 a couple of weeks, actually more than a month ago. That's the local Fox affiliate. And they held on to this interview for more than 4 weeks until I finally had people calling them and emailing them. And after playing nice to me, their quote unquote journalist finally admitted what he said to me was, you're not a viable candidate. We're not playing the interview. Get a lawyer, do whatever you think you need to do. And, the mask came off and basically revealed who he was. And I knew it all along. But it's just so sickening. Even though we know these things, it's sickening to firsthand have people shake your hand, smile at you, take your time, come interview you, sit down, take a selfie with you. And they see it getting shared online, but they don't give a damn. So I confronted him, and since then it's just been one thing after another. Today I was at an endorsement meeting for the Houston Chronicle where they were interviewing the different candidates. And we found out as soon as we got there that there's 12 people running. 11 of us were going to be screened all at once, while the mayor of Houston was going to have a separate day and a separate time to sit alone with the editorial board for an hour plus to have his own private screening. So right off the bat, we're starting off uneven, not on a equal level playing field. So I decided, what? I said my little spiels to them, and I said, what? I'm not looking for endorsements. You guys are a part of the problem. The reason people don't know who we are is because of you, because you won't cover us, because you keep calling us lesser known candidates. And I got up and walked out of the room, and I think that was what was best for me personally to do. But now we're at the final stage. As I said, 3 weeks. There have been 2 televised debates so far. One, the ABC affiliate, one, the NBC affiliate, and now we're down to the final one coming up on Monday, the CBS affiliate. And I will say this debate, they actually did do a little more reasonable than the past ones. The past ones, the criteria were you have to have raised $150,000 or more. Obviously that's going to cut out most of us who are grassroots. We're raising a humble, I think about $7,000-8,000 that I appreciate everybody who's helped out, but we definitely can't afford TV ads to get in front of people, and we're not making that huge budget. So automatically they're filtering the field down. And for months, the local media has already been saying, here are the 4 candidates running. Here are the 5 candidates running. And they just, every now and then will say, there are 7 other lesser known candidates, by the way, but they don't give us any airtime. So this is a crucial point. KHOU Channel 11 here, CBS in Houston, they actually set their criteria at $2,500. I meet that criteria. I've raised more than $2,500. However, now here's the catch, right? They even sent me an email, said, you qualify for this. You've been covered by media 3 times. You qualify for this. You've made 3 public policy statements on issues. You've done that. You don't qualify because they're choosing to go off of financial records based from July 15th. So they're using financial records that are 3 months old as opposed to the most current financial records, which we just filed last week, which clearly show that I raised more than $2,500. So they're just making their choice. There's no legal thing. We're like, oh, we're obligated to do this. It's just them as a station choosing to say, you know what, we're going to base our criteria off those records. And they claim that when they send out invites, those records from July 15 were the most current ones that just so happened to eliminate me from, because out of the other 7 people running that aren't part of the main 5, I will say I respect everybody else running, but I'm the only one that has a movement behind it. I'm the only one that's got, new every day. People want yard signs, they want flyers, they want stickers. They're telling us they're going to vote. So we have a genuine movement behind us, and I guarantee you, in an even playing field, I think we could beat these people. I don't necessarily even want to be mayor of Houston. I would love to change things and really show people like, hey, we can transform things. But at the very least, we're showing people that the system's corrupted from top to bottom. It's not just Trump or the federal government or the federal media, national media. It's your local media. It's your local Fox affiliate and CBS affiliate. It's also your neighborhood political groups. There have been different neighborhood groups, the Village Republican Women, the Bay Area Democrats, that also keep out the candidates, and they just present this message to the constituents and to the voters. There's only 4 people running. There's only 5 people running. So when we meet people, they're excited about my campaign, they're interested, but they always say, I've never heard of you before today. And it's because of this. This is the way they control the paradigm from top to bottom. So what I'm asking is, anybody who's interested, go to derekbros.com, go to the blog page. You'll see the first blog. It says, help Derek Bros get on TV. There's a list of numbers and emails there that you can call. I will tell you this. They told me today that they've already made their decision and there's nothing I can do. But you know what? Screw it. Keep calling them. Keep putting pressure on them. All the details you need are there. DerekBros.com. Go to the blog page and you can see that. And yeah, if anybody wants to donate and invest in this final 3 weeks, I see it as an investment, because any money that goes towards this is just going to go towards us getting in front of more people and spreading these ideas. And it definitely is, for me, kind of a Ron Paul type effort, because like I said, I didn't think I was going to win this thing. I didn't go in. I knew they were either going to attack me, call me a crazy conspiracy theorist, or, oh, he's a felon, or they were just going to try to ignore us. And they gave me a little bit of TV coverage, but I think they're afraid that if we get any more coverage, especially a prime time debate where I'm on stage at 7 p.m. across the city of Houston with the other candidates, that could really shift the election.
So, and I know it could. And here's the deal: what people don't understand in that 20-something, almost 30-something generation is that, yes, the majority of the people that are voting are still watching television. Just like you said, that 60-plus block. The next thing is that a lot of those people really never even bought into the cable system, because you live in a large city and, the outskirts, suburbs. A lot of these people do have just, little antennas, and they've had that for 20 years. I remember when I was living outside of Austin in Niederwald, outside of Buda, a lot of us, including myself, that's all I had. And you'd still get 20 stations, but you would be paying attention to the local news in San Antonio, in Austin, where you could get these signals. So that alone, in a city of, I would assume, your city it's got to be over 4 million, right?
Yeah, we're nearing 4 million, 5 million in the greater Houston area.
Yeah, Texas is huge. People don't understand how big Texas is. Our entire country's population could actually fit inside of how geographically large Texas is. And I would tell my viewers this: on top of supporting you financially, let's hit this station. What is the phone number they can call in? Is there a phone number to call in? I know there's an email address, but I would say hit these people hard, man, every single day. Say, why isn't Derek Bros there? He obviously made the criteria. Now you're trying to arbitrarily move the poll so you can keep that same narrative that the establishment media has for so long. Let's push establishment politicians. Let's push establishment views. And this reminds me of our national elections that we're having now in these Democratic debates, where they whittled it down from 20. They tried to get rid of the one person that was interjecting real issues on foreign policy, like Tulsi Gabbard. She had to fight tooth and nail to get back into it. And she got, last night, Derek, the second lowest time in the place. They gave her less than 9 minutes in a 3-hour debate, 8 minutes and 22 seconds, while they tried to push Elizabeth, by golly, Warren, Grandma Oatmeal, as if she's some kind of a candidate that anybody would vote for. And I gotta share my frustration with you with that shake and a smile, on my loose change tour, man. I can't tell you how many of these people smiled in my face, shook my hand, said that they thought my information was interesting, and then stabbed me right in the kidney from behind, ripped it up, tried to go for the jugular, and open it up. And that's what these bastards continually try to do. So beyond this, how can people get involved in their own elections locally if they're not in Houston? How can they make a difference with other politicians like you who aren't career politicians and actually care about the people?
Yeah, absolutely. You said a lot of good there, brother. So, one thing I will say, if you're watching the live stream in the chat, I just posted the link up there. And like I said, it's at derekbros.com. Just go to the blog page and you'll see that. There are phone numbers in there. There are several phone numbers listed, the heads of the Houston Public Media, the heads of Channel 11, calling them, flooding them. All of that is appreciated. Like I said, you don't have to be in Houston. We've had people who are supporting from all around the world and who are making it clear that they don't like this. And I think at the very least, we have to make these people feel uncomfortable. We have to be a headache for them. We have to make it clear for them. I have no problem making them feel awkward and going over and shaking hands with these people and saying, hey, I'm the guy that you uninvited to this event, and watching them squirm in their seats. I personally enjoy it. But, and to your other point before I answer your question, it is just like the national media. This is the same thing. And this is what I've started to realize more and more is, we already know this. We talk about this in our line of work, the corruption that exists. But now that I have, one foot in the door of playing their game a little bit, I paid their fee, I did all the paperwork, and I can see how they'll smile and will act all nice to me, but I can also see how they want to keep me out. They want to, shuffle me around. They do whatever they can to try to placate you and keep you smiling. But at the end of the day, this is all about keeping that same system in place. And honestly, this is in Houston, this is basically Hillary versus Donald Trump. That's the same thing. We have a current incumbent mayor who's a Democrat, even though there's officially no parties in Houston. I'd have to, say I pledge allegiance to any party, which is why I did this. But this mayor he was endorsed by Obama in 2015 when he first won. Like I said, his main challenger is a Trump supporter who's trying his best to distance himself from Trump, but it's pretty clear. And people are literally saying hashtag anyone but Turner. Turner's the current mayor. So they don't even care if it's anybody better necessarily. It's just, let's just get rid of him. And there are folks who say, I like Derek, but he doesn't have a chance to win, so I'm going to go with the guy who might beat my enemy. So instead of voting on principle and what they believe in, they're just playing that same old game, man. And it's just, I don't know, it's bullshit, but I mean, it's the reality that we're in. I tried to enter this and experience it firsthand. I knew this was all a possibility, but I want to say that if anybody's out there, if you are on the local level and you're considering doing something like I am, or if there is somebody like me who isn't a politician and who genuinely cares about your community, this can be a worthy effort. I actually put out a video just a couple hours ago about this. Can the corporate state be stopped by local politics? I think if we do this purely as educational and trying to reach and wake up more people, then it can be successful. But if you go into it setting your goal as I have to win the election, I don't know that you will succeed. Perhaps you can, but then I think we might end up just getting stuck in the gears of the machine that we become almost useless, right? Like I will say, I've tried to keep up with my YouTube content as much as possible throughout this campaign. I've also been working on a book and a documentary, but I had to put the book and the documentary aside because I've gotten so busy from the campaign. So my point is, maybe we get so involved in trying to fight them in that way that we can't do other things to actually build freedom and build the next stage and pull ourselves out of these systems. So there has to be a cost versus benefit for each person to decide, is this worth my time? And I think for me, it has been. I've helped to wake up a lot of people in Houston and elsewhere to realize that the corruption is not just the top, but all the way down to the bottom. And also have helped people see, look, here's a guy who paid his money, did everything he's supposed to do as a viable candidate, but the media is treating him differently. So I think even if it's just in those ways, we can show more people, because personally, I'm tired of only preaching to the choir. I love my YouTube family. I love my YouTube audience. I love speaking at conferences and those kind of things. But most of those are people who already know what's up. I'm not telling anybody anything new when I say, guys, local media is corrupt, But when I'm going to these town halls and these rallies and these forums, I'm speaking to people who, Jason, have never heard of either one of our work. They've probably never watched our documentaries, but now they're going to start thinking about these ideas. Maybe they're going to go check out the website and look deeper. And when they hear me talk about self-ownership and, the reason I support these ideas is because you own yourself and the government shouldn't be running your lives. These kinds of things. I don't even have to say the word, libertarian or progressive or any kind of political language. I just speak about the concepts and people care and they resonate. So I'm doing this as a very intentional way to wake up more people and get more people questioning the systems. And I think in that regard, I have succeeded. It still is frustrating as hell to keep running into this beast, and realizing, damn it, they just have so much control. The whole thing is rigged, and there's so many ways that they can just, block you there, block you there, block you there. But I'm not giving up. This is the last 3 weeks. Starting tomorrow at 10 a.m., I'm going to be doing a 24-hour live stream. We have 5 campaign events going on tomorrow, and I'm going to be taking people everywhere I go. It's going to be through the Derek Bros for Mayor Facebook page, 10 a.m. Central, if anybody wants to keep up. I have several interviews going on and different events that I'll be talking to people all around the city. And you can see what I do and the amount of time and energy I put into this. And if you feel called to support, to share, to donate, whatever, I appreciate it, guys. And I appreciate your time, of course, brother.
Well, I'll tell you what really resonated with me on what you just said there is not being a progressive or a libertarian or buying into this false left right model. Look, man, we're all human beings, and that's one of the things that really has bothered me about the rise of the so-called alternative media is that they kind of bought into their own label that the mainstream media gave them in this alt-right thing. And I've got to hear how the Democrats are really Satanists and all this fucking bullshit, dude. Look, people are people. And most of us just want to be left alone, have a chance to prosper, have a chance to stay and benefit with our family, and live a good life. That's the vast majority of us. We don't want to be oppressed by regime change wars. We don't want more taxes. We don't want more control. We don't want more police oversight over our lives. We don't want corporations all over us, basically taking our privacy and using it as their new commodity. Those are all issues that reach every average Joe and Jane out there. And I think that has to be our focal point. I'm going to let you wrap it up here. Guys, the site is theconsciousresistance.com, DerekBrosForMayor.com, and you can check out both of those things on Facebook as well. You can follow him on Twitter, but he's not as active these days on Twitter. I'd say this, man. You've done a great job over the last decade or so, bringing so many of these issues to the forefront, on the ground. Make that last push for people to make sure that that media outlet knows damn well that you should be up there and confronting these bastards on their lies on stage and on television.
Absolutely. So again, go to derekbros.com. You can find the blog page. Check it out. It's the last post that we made, and there are numbers. There's emails, but absolutely leave them voicemails. Make sure they're coming to work tomorrow morning filled with voicemails. I know they already officially made their decision, but either way, perhaps we can push them over the edge. And again, if anybody feels called to donate financially, that's all appreciated. At this point, 3 weeks out, all that money is just going into buying ads, going into printing more giant signs and getting the word out in any way we can. And yeah, look, for me, this is all about the same thing we've been trying to do, whether it's Jason through producing documentaries, Invisible Empire, to the work that I've done. It's the same work to me. It's waking people up, whether that means making a documentary, making a YouTube video, writing an article, confronting a politician, or trying to use their game, hijacking their signal is the way I've seen it, hijacking their signal for 6 months. Because when this race is over, if it ends November 5th for me and I don't make it any further than that, after that, most of these people aren't going to give a damn what Derek Bros has to say. But right now, they care about what I have to say because I'm a candidate for mayor. And they know people are listening, and that is what scares them. So I'm asking your help. Please help me boost the signal as far and wide as you can. You don't have to be in Houston. You don't even have to be in the United States. You can make a phone call. You can send an email, and then you can donate from wherever you are. All of that, I guarantee you, is going to go towards doing this good work. And one way or another, my goal is always going to be to awaken and encourage as many of our brothers and sisters to start thinking critically as possible. So please help me out with that. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely, Derek. I love you, man. I'm wishing you the
Love you
best.
too, brother.
And if I can do anything in the next few weeks, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I hope my audience helps you as well, my man.
Thank you, brother.
All right, we'll see you soon. Guys, that is Derek Bros, and he's of theconsciousresistance.com. I'm going to read these super chats. Flick Off said, "Hey, Jason, song recommendation for the day is 9/11, We Demand the Truth by, you guessed it, Genocide Rap. Great till 2 minutes and 40-second song from back in, 2-minute and 40-second song from back in 2008, free on YouTube." I will try to check that out. Then we have Ignatz71, great convo, Jason, go Derek, go. I totally agree. And Nick Waits, who's a huge supporter of this show. Check out Sinclair's script for stations. I've seen that. It's incredibly scary and dangerous how local media equals national media. Sinclair is positioned. Keep up the great effort in seeing the forest through the weeds. Yeah, if you don't know, Sinclair Media, they own a lot of different, not only local news stations, right? And again, it's a conglomerate. They're not all owned by Sinclair. You have all these little parts. It's just like I have town square media in my town. I'd actually like them to syndicate my show. I'd love to be back on the radio, but it's so hard. And the video you're talking about, actually, we covered it while I was working over at We Are Change, where, I mean, dozens of reporters are repeating and regurgitating the same script that they're given. And you think it's a local news story. No, it's a national news story that they're pushing through local media. And that's just one of the, that's one of the tools in the toolbox of the very deceptive media industrial complex. Guys, I'm only going to say it really quick because I'd rather, especially if you're watching this video, give to Derek's program. Right now, I mean, I think what he's doing is important, but if you want to give to me, this is how I'm doing it. I've had some great donations today, but that's because I've been kicking out the jams today. And this is video number 5. It's rainy out. It's upstate New York. We're going to continue to kick out videos. Tonight, there's a lot of subjects that I did not get to that I wanted to. My documentaries, like Derek said, are free online. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, and New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture right here in the documentaries playlist section. And if you're not subscribed, please, now's the time to subscribe. Join the Burmese Brigade. We're on the way to 40,000, then 50,000, then hopefully 100,000 subscribers. Even though YouTube demonetizes every single one of my videos out of the gates, or at some point, some of them get remonetized. We're reaching people. Despite that, we're growing, and I got nothing but love in my heart. I'm not a bigot. I'm not preaching hate. I'm preaching freedom and love. And I love you guys. I will see you on the flip side.